Okay, we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Dave's Twitch. This is Thursday. We're going to do some Dungeons and Dragons news, and then we're going to talk about house rules. I'm here with DM Evanson and my fellow Dark Alchemist, the Dead Professor. We did have a chance to go to Long Island Tabletop. We had a great time there, and we had a table, and we sold lots of miniatures. Dave, what did you think joining us at Dark Alchemy at Long Island Tabletop?
It was a great time. My first con working. Working. But
Appreciate
it was
you.
a great time. Just sitting back there, meeting all the people, all the locals, a lot of people passionate about D&D. So it was good to see basically local neighbors for the most part, and grow the community a little more, and just talking and sharing how passionate people were about finding minis for their campaign. And
Yep,
that
we
was
sold
a lot of fun.
a lot of minis. Scott, how'd you find it?
I thought it was great. I really liked getting to talk to all the dungeon masters and players. A lot of people were there with their dungeon master or with their girlfriend who plays in the campaign with them. We got a lot of subscriptions to the channel with our giveaway of the baby owlbear, which the people loved.
Baby owlbear is awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing all the baby owlbears.
Yeah, right.
Painted World, yeah.
That'd be cool.
But part of what I really liked is the people were looking for very specific things, right?
Yeah.
So like one of the guys who was there, he was looking for orc samurai. He
Yeah.
was like, no one's got an orc samurai. I was like, I do. So I literally just finished cleaning up the pictures of the minis to send to him and go, these are the orc samurai I have. I have them with Oni masks or without.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
And now, as soon as you said
miniatures.
the Oni mask, I know exactly what ones you're talking about.
yeah.
People seem to enjoy picking the miniatures. We had some of the pop culture cheebs. We had some larger monsters. We had some sets. We had some dice sets. The metal dice or resin dice went quick. We we had a good price point on them. So I enjoyed talking to the people and hearing some stories. I was asking about their campaigns and about some of their adventures, and it was cool to see how other people interact with D&D.
Yeah, and there were some people there, and it was great because there were some people there from every budget, right? We had people there who had $5 to spend on a single mini. We had people who were happy to drop $100 on a whole pile of minis. So we got some commission work for our painter Bob. He's already got commissions lined up from a bunch of people. So it was great. People who are into D&D are apparently very into D&D. It's one of those things that people fall down the rabbit hole on like we do. And, I want this for my table, and I want that, and I want these minis, and I want it painted, and, And if they don't have the talent to paint them themselves, or they don't believe they have the talent, they'd love to have someone, paint it who's professional.
Bob's an excellent painter. We had Bob painting some of the miniatures. The Chiefs, he was painting some of the D&D miniatures, our characters. And we had another gentleman, Dennis. He painted some of the larger monsters on display. And I think that helped to sell some of the larger monsters. People saw it painted, and they were really impressed. We are going back to the Cradle of Aviation Museum May 17th and 18th for CradleCon. It's another 2-day show. They do focus more on pop culture, comic books, superheroes, but they also have a good contingent of fantasy and cosplay.
Video games.
So video games, so we'll be there with some video game prints, of course, Dungeons and Dragons prints, some monsters, maybe some Star Wars, Star Trek. We'll see what we can actually bring with us. So I think that'll be a good time.
Yep.
Let's slide into our breaking news for the world of Dungeons and Dragons this week. All right. We talked about this once before. The Arby's dice. Norse Foundry. Limited edition, sold out. And the secondary market, eBay listings, a couple $100.
Or a couple $100 for the first generation plastic ones.
Wow, really? These are metal, though.
Yeah.
These ones are going to go
for
more.
So the first two releases they did were plastic dice with plain old polyhedrals. They had the Arby's hat on the I think it was just on the 20 on that set.
Oh, really? Okay.
They sold for like $10 or $15. They were not expensive dice.
Yeah.
Those are selling for between $100 and $200 on eBay.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, people like what they like.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, don't you have a giant dice bucket from the movie, which I wasn't able to get?
I absolutely have that giant popcorn bucket D20.
Popcorn bucket, yeah.
I'm so mad I didn't
dice.
get that. I got the bucket that has the art all around it.
Yeah.
But not the you know,
The
at
D20,
the
yeah.
D20 bucket, which was like,
I was like, with the game room, it just fit. You know, if I didn't have a place for it like that, I never would have gotten it. But I was like, that just fits perfectly in the room.
Yeah. And we'll do a game room tour in the future so people can actually see. But yeah, I mean, and I think it's loaded with dice because you're a dice goblin.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I might have tried to get to dice ogre. You know,
dice ogre. I like that. Ooh, that's got to be one of our shirts. Dice goblin, dice ogre.
Yeah, I like that.
And
so we just make it an ogre that's jacked. So it's like
yes. Well, from carrying all the dice, of course, course. Yeah. July 8th, 2025. Dragon Delves Anthology is coming out. This is a book that's coming out, character levels 1 to 12, a collection of 10 short adventures centered around different types of chromatic dragons. I believe you can just drop them in the game, or you can do it as a campaign, going from first level to 12th level.
Is it all chromatic, or is it both chromatic and metallic?
It is chromatic and metallic. Yeah, it's centered around different ones. So you have have the reds and the greens, and then also the golds and stuff.
So some of them will probably be role playing heavy, or non-combat with the dragon, and then others might be fighting the dragon. So it'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The digital version is going to include 22 pre-populated maps for use on D&D and Beyond, with some stickers. So I want to ask Dave, as a dungeon master, how often have your characters come across dragons in the game? That includes us and whatever else you might have played.
In every one of my games, there's been at least one dragon, if not more. And I think pretty much every game I've played in, there's been a dragon.
Okay.
But early on, it was a lot more like daunting, because you didn't really know what a dragon could do, or early on in the D&D zeitgeist of playing. But once you start learning it, you get a little more open up to like, oh yeah, let's go talk to that dragon or find out where that goes. But for the most part, I think every campaign has had at least one, but it's usually like an appearance, not necessarily you're fighting.
Yeah.
But
we just had our 2 dragon plot hooks in your game, Dave, in our campaign.
Yeah.
The one with the dragonborn in search of his dragon, and the other one with the wizards telling us, "Oh yeah, you just got to get this breathed on by a dragon."
Yeah. So in the world of Erendor, our world that Scott and Dave are creating with me, dragons have been gone for about 300 years. The dragonborn were working with the dragons, and then they kind of stepped away from them, started with the humans. And the dragons kind of were hunted and went away. But there are rumors that there are dragons, and there was one dragonborn looking for one. How about you, Scott? Have you come across a lot of dragons, basically since you started Dungeons and Dragons?
Over the years, there's always been a couple. Every campaign, they kind of crop up. Like when I was younger, like maybe college age, we did the entire Temple of Elemental Evil. That really didn't have a dragon in it.
No.
You went through that whole campaign, and that was like 1 to 15, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 to 12, and there's no dragon in that one. But then we did the campaign I ran last. I had a blue dragon plot hook in there that you guys freed, and he was going to owe you a favor. That was around your character's plot line in the desert with the blue dragon.
And I think we actually fought that blue dragon a little bit.
Started as a fight.
It started as a fight and anything. And Dave, in your campaign, we came across a mechanical dragon in the Frozen North.
That's right.
A version of it. That was pretty cool. That was a rough fight.
That white dragon had a botting of a red and the other one. And then you didn't play in the campaign before that, right?
No, I don't think so.
And then, of course, we had the dragon from the Deck of Many Things.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I was pulling cards out, and I was invulnerable, and
pulling them out.
And then the dragon came out, and he scooped me up and bit me, but I was invulnerable, so he dropped me from a great height. Would have broke my neck, and then
and you were poisonous.
Yeah.
And
then I pulled another card, and I turned to poison, which killed the dragon. That was just man, I was running out of options. I was out of gold, so I had to do something.
That was classic Roy.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. That was chaos incarnate.
You failed upwards somehow.
Yeah. I failed upwards. Yeah. Dave, I feel like you enjoyed that adventure, though.
Yeah, that was quite entertaining.
Yeah. So the Dragon Delves adventure coming out July 8th, 2025. It is an opportunity to put dragons in your campaign and actually fight them, and that's something that maybe some players in D&D have not had the opportunity to. So it's a way to introduce them. And in the new Monster Manual rules, dragons have got some good buffs, and there's different levels of them. So there's wormlings and big ones, but they're actually quite scary. So it's a good part of Dungeons and Dragons that you should hopefully experience.
Yeah.
So the last thing we're going to talk about under the Dungeons and Dragons news is the dragon sitting upon his pile of gold. In this case, it's tariffs. So the tariffs are bumping around with China, back and forth. I don't want to get political. I just want to talk about how it might affect the game and what people are going to do.
Yeah, it's so in my day job, I deal with this all day with tariffs. My company has a factory in China, so I'm fairly well informed on it. And there's not a whole lot we're going to be able to do about it, but it's going to raise the price. Almost every printed book for D&D purposes comes from a factory in China. All of the and you go into other game systems, all of the 40K books, their primary print sources are in China, their backups are in the UK.
Yeah.
So for us in the US, we're going to get tariffs one way or the other.
Yeah.
And there's no way around it. I mean, right now I think it's at 145%.
Yeah, it's crazy. I try not to follow the news too much, but it has been getting kind of crazy.
It's 145%. So that book that used to cost, I'll use our local shop as an example, right? He buys a lot of mats. He buys a lot of game aids. He buys his dice, his card boxes for Magic the Gathering.
The card boxes are big, yep.
All that stuff comes direct from China. So that game mat that might have cost him $10 that he was selling for $20 now costs him an extra $14.50. So that went from $10 to $24.50 cost. So even if he only keeps his $10 profit or $10 of margin, he's at $35 for something that he was at $20 for.
Yeah.
And that's big. That's no fun for any of us who have, a lot of game interest and we want to spend our money. For younger people who have more restricted income, right?
Yeah.
That $20 mat was what they saved up for. Like my son, for example, he's 13 or 14. He's 13, but he's trying to hustle. He's a money maker. He wants, hey dad, can I do this side job? Can I do that side job? Saving up money for his computer.
Yeah.
Well, he's been saving money for over a year, right? He's got like $1,000 saved up between Christmas and his birthday and working and doing well in school.
Awesome.
But that computer that a year ago was going to cost him $1,300.
Yeah.
What is that going to cost now?
Yeah.
Oh,
is it
$2,000,
$2,500?
Yeah.
All the parts probably don't come from China, but lots of them do.
Yeah.
The video
big
cards
ones,
that were is I don't know where NVIDIA's big factories are. I'm guessing China. So that video card that was retailing for $400 is going to be $800, $900, maybe more.
Yeah. Well, in regards to the D&D books, I've said all along, and I don't know if it was on the news, but it was on one of the things I did on YouTube. I said the old books are still good. If you have 4th edition source material, if you have old books, and you have the basic rules, don't be afraid to write your own adventure, write your own content. Mix everything up. I think that's good. And then also,
and that's a great point. And just as an example, the adventure Dave just slotted into our campaign was a 1st edition. No, sorry, it was a red box, right, Dave? It was basic D&D adventure.
Yeah, it was definitely first or before that. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
It was a late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Adventure.
I think it was 85 or 84. But I got to double check.
So we're gonna talk about that adventure on Sunday morning when we do our Monster Fight review.
But it's an old,
the monster we came across in that dungeon.
Module, but can be brought up to 5th edition very easily.
Yeah, there's very little some of these you need to mod as far as that goes. Other than just creatures, you just gotta go. Well, can't use the stat block from back then. I gotta use a new one. It's pretty simple. In that regard.
So that's exactly, use a new stat block. But I thought the way the dungeon was laid out was excellent. Again, I kept harping on the fact that it made sense. We had guards in one area, food stores, and we had some odd, strange monsters in other areas that the guards knew not to go to, but we had to explore. So it made sense. And again, it was an old adventure. I remember you picking up the book and seeing the back cover, and I was trying to see the module number A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it was. I'm like, this is an old adventure, but it's easily adjustable. It takes a little bit of work.
Yeah.
A piece of paper, you jot down your new stats, make some photocopies, and you're good to go.
And
the
secondary market in general for D&D products has been enormous. I mean, first edition stuff, second edition stuff, third edition stuff is all selling very well in the secondary market. People who had stuff as kids, and they got rid of it in college or when they moved or their parents got rid of it. A lot of those people who are playing the game want to have that stuff as memorabilia from when they were younger. I'm one of them.
Myself too.
So,
yep,
absolutely.
I've been slowly collecting stuff over the years that I, lost over the years. So
and
always a market for that stuff.
You've been collecting non-D&D stuff. You've been collecting stuff like Traveler, Star Frontiers, and some of the old classic games.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, and we do have D&D Beyond or Beyond D&D. It's all PDFs. It's all digital. So, you can still buy that for no tariff, right? Because that's just a digital product.
Yeah.
I do like the books. I do like the feel of having them and stuff. Collecting them, seeing them on my bookshelf. That's
I gotta have.
something.
I have to have a physical for most, but so it's gonna be interesting. Probably not in a great way, but
What would the base 3 books have cost if they came out post tariff?
Yeah,
right. They were $50 each.
Yeah, I mean,
so
150 for 3 of them. Somewhere in there. Now, are you 300 now? I don't know.
Yeah. So it's not going to be pretty for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now we can hope that a lot of companies have done what Apple did this week.
Okay.
Apple brought 66 tons of iPhones into the country.
I read something about that. Was that on an airplane?
They airlifted 66 tons of iPhones from India to the United States, which is apparently about 1.5 million iPhones.
Wow.
So,
again, without getting too political, we'll talk about this for 60 seconds. How does that get around a tariff, do you think?
Tariff on India.
They push out of a plane?
Right now, the tariff on India is 10% because he suspended all the tariffs everywhere else. So they got them all out of India as fast as they could because they don't know when the tariff's going to get turned back on.
Yeah.
If it gets turned back on in a week and it's 30%, then that's their tariff. So they got it in the country as fast as they could.
Yeah.
Yep. And Chaosium and Steve Jackson Games have said a lot of their print products are in China, and it's going to affect them because it's printed material. And the United States right now does not have the print capacity. We used to be a nation of printers. Yeah. My uncle was a printer for a long time. We don't have the capacity anymore. We don't have the print machines, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
All right.
We've talked about this in board games as well. I mean, I know we're focusing on D&D, but it's a board game problem as well.
Yeah.
So let us talk about house rules, not really homebrew, house rules for the game that we are doing in the world of Arendor and Dungeons and Dragons. We are now 4th going to 5th level. These are some of the homebrew rules. So I have the information at the bottom, and let's just pull up. I know Scott only has 1 tattoo. Scott, I'm hoping you would get a 2nd tattoo, and here it is. We have your death saves tattoo. So, Scott or Dave, can you talk to us about what the death saves are? And we're gonna roll them hidden, right? That's our house rule. Hidden death saves.
Yeah.
Yes, we wanted it to be a little more not obvious, or meta gaming or anything, where it's like, all right, he's got at least another death save or 2 if he doesn't roll a 1. We could wait a turn. Where in reality, if one of your members would drop to the floor in a way that you think you're gonna die, you'd probably run over right away. And if you want to gamble a turn or 2, you can. But it just heightens up the tension at the table for everybody. Because you don't know whether or not he rolled a 1 or whether he made it or...
Right, if it was me, I rolled a 1. We all know that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's happened a lot, right? You actually had characters die because of that.
Yeah.
But everyone kind of liked that idea, and then we put it so that I'll just roll it behind the screen.
Yeah.
and then I can message the player as necessary and communicate, and then it makes it even more tense because no one knows.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I think it's a great way to go.
Yeah.
And now the second part of our death save rule is that we've added an impact for death save. If you're in a fight and you get dropped to unconscious and dying, and then you get healed with 1 hit point. My character was the king of this, right? I played a monk, and I would go down, and they would heal me up before my turn, and I would spring to my feet, run across the board, get all my attacks.
Spring to your feet, like just jumping up like, ta-da!
Yep.
I'm back, guys.
Run across the board, throw my million punches, do a ton of damage, get hit once, and drop again. And it was that was just the routine. And I think I was actually the one who said, it just doesn't make sense. He should be dying, just the punishment his body's taking. So we decided to add exhaustion on your first failed death save. So when you fail a death save, you take a level of exhaustion.
Now, did we say if you fail a death save, get up your disadvantaged ability checks? Now, you get knocked again.
I think that's original 5e. I think that's 2014 there, Roy.
Oh, is the 2014 one? Let's remove that then. I don't have the
2024 rules. First level of death save is -2 to all checks.
Yeah.
It's across
I didn't have the old one there.
Across the gamut for death saves, it's -2 times your exhaustion level to your checks.
Okay.
Which is impactful. I mean, skill checks at disadvantage was a big deal, but -2 to hit, -2 to, everything makes a difference.
And then, to take a note, a quick side note, to point back to our last episode of how bad D&D Beyond search engine is.
Yeah,
as you pulled up the death saves, I know exactly. You just typed death saves, clicked on the first thing.
Yeah, that was D&D Beyond, actually.
It was not the new rules.
It's not the new rules. So, Dave, are we adding if you get knocked twice, the monk gets knocked, 0 hit points, death save, healed, gets up, fight. Oh, knocked again. Another death save, gets up a second time. Are you now 2 levels of exhaustion?
Well, first off, there's a staggered condition too.
Right. So right now we say the first time you fail a death save after falling to 0, you get exhaustion.
Yeah.
And then I have this little guy here.
I probably wouldn't.
He's dizzy. He's staggered. He's not feeling too well. The dwarf got knocked down.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have it so that if you went down down up, every time you got to get 5 levels of exhaustion. I wouldn't do that. You got to get 1, and then you got to get the staggered condition would happen every time you go down and up. So you basically would have a turn after being healed that you'd be a little out of it. -2 to your AC, -2 to your dex.
Okay.
Saving throws. Your speed is halved. Can't use a reaction.
Yeah.
You could either use an action or a bonus action, but not both. And then the condition ends at the beginning of your next turn. So as long as you don't get knocked down again, you will be back to normal. Other than the exhaustion, which you may or may not have. At that point.
All right. I like that. So we talked about the death saves and the staggered. Anything else to add to that, Professor?
No, I think these are both changes that it makes the game a little grittier, makes the game a little more dramatic from the player's point of view. If I know you passed your first death save, I know your next roll doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I can wait to heal you. But if I don't know what you did on that first die, now how much do I like you is how much I want to wait.
Yeah. Or and then you have to calculate other things like movement and do I have enough time, and just adds a little more suspense and tension, which I like.
So in
because there's just so many ways to
save
a character,
In the last edition, speaking of saving character, we're talking about potions now. We allowed not in the new edition, right? In the 2014, we allowed bonus action to drink a potion.
Yeah.
And then we kind of added in, or you added in, Dave, if you take a bonus action to drink a potion, you roll the dice to see how much you heal. If you take a full action and you very carefully sip and drink it with good etiquette, then you get the full amount of healing.
Yeah, whatever that potion's maximum amount of healing could do, you would get that if you take your full action.
Yeah, but you're doing a full action on it.
Yeah, I mean you're sacrificing your whole action. Yeah, I think
But
you should.
if you suck it down, then you roll. I like that.
Yeah.
But 2024 rules added drinking a potion is a bonus action.
Yeah.
But again, bonus action. But now you're rolling the dice, which is what we have. So in our house rules, we've only added one new piece. Then is the full action, is the full heal.
Yeah, and it allows the cleric to not necessarily always have to heal. You know, and they could try to do something in between, especially if people have some potions to spread that out a little more, which is good.
Yeah. And I do like we have our high magic world where we are getting magic items. I think I have 3 potions now. And I think Scott, your character, who's actually kind of looks like this a little bit, the female sorcerer. Yeah. I think she said she has 5 or 6 potions she's up to.
Yeah, she's got 5 healing potions. Lesser healing potions.
And she's not hoarding them. Everybody else has 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So I think we're in pretty good shape. Yeah, great. So we should be up for a little while. And if we have a big monster, it's going to be a problem. But we're up for now.
Yeah.
We're doing good with that. And then we have. We talked about the surprised condition. We're doing surprise a little bit differently. Can you tell me about that, Dave?
Yeah, I like surprise. I like it in a lot of games, especially if you're planning an ambush and it goes off perfectly. I don't like just, okay, everybody roll initiative and hopefully you roll high. So if you get the surprise off, I usually have everybody roll initiative, and then everyone that has surprise gets to act on their initiative. And then everyone who is surprised does not get to act that first turn, basically.
Yes.
So the surprised creature can't move or take an action on its first time in combat. And the attacker has advantage on its first attack rolls if the attack are made from a hiding position. Or moves within reach of a surprised creature without being seen. Creatures cannot take a reaction until the end of the first turn. And at the end of the first turn, the surprise condition ends. So just something, and make it a little more deadlier if to get caught in an ambush, and to do an ambush as well. I feel like was a little lackluster.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you go through the trouble of setting up an ambush and you manage to pull it off, and we've got a dragonborn chunking around in plate, and we've got a cleric clanging his mace and chain.
Gotta let my dog out. 1 second.
Oh, good. If we manage to pull off an ambush, we want it to be something, not, oh crap, I rolled crappy on initiative. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. I like the surprise. A couple of times, Dave's had this rule for a while. A couple of times we've gotten surprised by shadows, invisible stuff, and it makes it feel more dangerous, right, Scott? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to be surprised and killed, but
the gelatinous cube.
The gelatinous cube was great. Yeah. The monk walked right into the cube.
Yeah.
And a couple times, at least once, we avoided surprise when my last character, the Minotaur, we walked in. And I was like, daylight, and the shadows all appeared. And it was just kind of random because I had a feeling. It was a gut instinct, and I kind of like that. We were able to do that. So those are all the house rules that we kind of have come across. I really like the way Dave's running it. I like all the house rules. I can't really think of anything else that I would add. We did
not a house rule, but I guess we made a clarification on the rule book on temporary hit points.
Sorry about that.
No harm. So
it's all good.
Moving to temporary hit points, Dave. So there's a dispute in the community. Is it fair to say, Dave, that some people think that when you are given temporary hit points from a spell and the spell ends, the temporary hit points go away. Other people say temporary hit points don't go away until you lose them or take a long rest. So if you cast polymorph on somebody now and they get 60 extra hit points as temporary hit points, and then they dispel the polymorph, they say they keep the temporary hit points.
They got the temporary hit points because the creature was larger, and then that's where the temporary came from?
And they're saying they stay even though they're no longer under the effects of that spell. So we just ruled for the game that doesn't work that way. You can't gain the hit points of a brown bear and then go back to your normal halfling form and still have those hit points.
Yeah.
Because it makes for some weird loopholes on spells like what is the warlock spell with the ice armor?
Okay.
Can't remember the name of the spell, but basically they have that spell on them, and it does reflective damage as long as they have temporary hit points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So if now they have 70 temporary hit points instead of 15, that spell now is going to hit enemies for a long time.
It comes down to a whole metagaming thing, and I want my character to be powerful and strong and magical, but I don't want to be able to walk through stuff. I like the challenge, right? That's part of it. You know, your
Was that
character's
the
growing in the
armor?
world.
Was that the armor of
Armor
Agathis?
of Agathis, yes.
Yeah.
Armor of Agathis? Yeah, that's
Right.
the one. That's the one.
Because it gives you 10, I think, 5 temporary hit points per level or something like that,
Hmm.
which is reasonable, right? So you have 15 hit points. When you take 15 points of damage, the spell goes away. So if
Yeah.
you get hit for 1 point 15 times, it goes off 15 times.
Yeah.
But if you get hit once for 15, it goes off once. But if I now have 70 temporary hit points,
Mhm.
I can keep
Yeah,
that spell
it's
for a long
going. It's
time.
going on for a long time. Yeah, that comes down to the power game. I think it's a dungeon master tip that it's up to the dungeon master to really,
Absolutely.
to moderate that and see what kind of world you want. Unless you like that and everybody agrees upon it, but then
Yeah,
also the
absolutely.
bad guys have it too. I mean, it's your
That's
world.
right. And we discussed it as a group, and that was what we decided for the campaign.
Yeah. Dave, let's close with this. I don't have a picture for it. Let's put up something magical here. Here we go. I like this picture. That's a magical potion, but it might not be a healing potion. Dave, you like to create a lot of custom magic items in your campaigns. You tell us about the last one you made. Did you make the Horn of Bubbles?
I did not.
Okay. Which one did you make? Did you make any of those current ones that we have there?
The boots of weight.
Okay. Tell us about the boots. So Dave likes to make custom magic items as a dungeon master, and we add him to our lore keeper, our legend keeper in the world, Erendor. So tell us about why you like to add those custom magic items in, and tell us about these funny boots.
I like to, well, just more options, obviously, is always good. The standard magic items are sometimes get a little boring, +1s, +2s, +3s. So adding in magic items that do something more utility, or giving magic items that could be used for combat, if the players are creative, I always like to see what they do and give them something and see if they could somehow 20 sessions later pull it out and surprise everybody that they remember they had that. And I find a lot of the base magic items are either a little lackluster or they're just very on the nose of what they do.
Yeah. Very little character to them.
Yeah. So I try to add in what I find or what other people has made and different things. So I have a whole bunch of other loot to be given out as we go. But it could be as simple as something as an amulet of rain detection. It could be orb of detecting which direction you are, or it could be boots like we made, heavy boots, and then you give a command word and the boots turn to 500 pounds in weight. So that that could be used in multiple ways.
We were discussing how to use them, whether to get to the bottom of the ocean or in order to maybe become immobile if somebody grabs you.
Yeah.
Or to push into a door. So this turns out, Dave, this is a Twitch only stream. I didn't hit one button. This is a Twitch only stream. So it was good practice. We're always learning here at Dark Alchemy. The alchemists here are learning. I'm going to try to download this off of Twitch because I did not save it locally, and maybe I will start saving it locally. That might be a good idea. Right? Look at that. So I'm glad we did it today. So I will not make that mistake again on a Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
We'll take the time to end it here. Sunday morning, we're going to go live and talk about the last monsters we fought, which were a lot of dire creatures. We had some dire frogs. We had some dire snake. No, not dire snakes.
Dire crocodile.
Dire crocodile, dire frog, and some naga. So I'll upload those videos. And so we'll end it here. If you're on Twitch, please subscribe. If not, follow us on YouTube. And I'm going to try to... let Twitch upload, and then I'm gonna try to download the whole thing on YouTube and set it as a maybe in the morning I'll have it go off. I'll see. I'll play with that.
Sounds good.
But thank you, DM Evanson, and thank you to Dead Professor once again for jumping on the stream to talk about all things Dungeons and Dragons.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.